Good evening and welcome to Friday's Midlands Today from the BBC. Tonight, one last push from the campaigners fighting to bring high-speed 2 trains to the region. Business leaders, union bosses and economists today urge the government to press ahead with plans for the controversial line between London and Birmingham.
A decision could come as soon as Tuesday, but opponents of the £32 billion scheme maintain there's no economic or environmental case for HS2. In a moment, we'll be talking to both sides, but first, here's Ben Godfrey.
Just days before the government could decide the future of high-speed rail, this controversial debate has re-emerged on the letter pages of 3 national newspapers. The message from business leaders was clear: the UK needs HS2 to fast-track the economy. Peter Matthews signed the letter. His metal recycling business in the Black Country survives on exports. He says without high-speed rail, his business won't grow and he can't create jobs.
It wouldn't be as effective as it should be, and it isn't at the moment. The more we can get into the market, the more people that can come and see us, the better for us. That means we can establish ourselves more here in the Black Country by having that type of facility.
If the Transport Secretary gives HS2 the green light, passengers could see journey times between London and Birmingham of around 45 minutes. Supporters argue it could create up to 8,000 jobs and pump £2.5 billion into the economy.
The rail line would come, you can see the wires going across the field here to that hedge just over the other side.
Farmer Derek Hyatt questions these figures. The proposed route borders his family's farm in Ufton in Warwickshire. He says the business argument fails to acknowledge that many long-standing farming businesses will be blighted.
I've worked very hard all my life. We finally had the chance of buying this farm about 14 years ago, and the hopes of handing it all over to my daughters with a train track going through it, it'll be worth one hell of a lot less.
For 2 years, debates have raged in village halls and business forums around the region. Transport secretaries have come and gone. At a time of national austerity, this is a line that will cost £17 billion to build, and extensions further north could see that figure double.
This is Off Church near Leamington Spa, one of many local villages which has raised thousands of pounds for a so-called fighting fund against HS2. This has also been pretty pricey for those big marketing campaigns from big businesses. But for both sides, the wait for the government's decision is almost over. Ben Godfrey, BBC Midlands Today in South Warwickshire.
Well, joining us now is Joe Rukin, who's an anti-HS2 campaign coordinator. Very good evening to you. Thanks for coming in. Isn't it all over now? The business leaders are saying we need it so desperately. The government seem very keen on it too.
No, of course it's not all over. The thing is that what you've seen today is pretty much desperation from a few business leaders who will, a lot of them, benefit from the construction of HS2. There's a lot of vested interests in play in terms of the people who are lobbying for this.
You've got to agree that the economy is in a dire straits at the moment.
And this isn't going to make it any better. What you're seeing with this is you're not going to see any jobs for 10, 20 years with HS2. It's going to cost up to £33 billion, and you can deliver more benefits to more people more quickly and create more jobs for less money by investing in the existing transport infrastructure.
OK, but the argument would say that it's good to invest long-term for a more prosperous future.
Well, investing in the current infrastructure would be long-term for a more prosperous future, and it would deliver benefits all across the country, opposed to this very, very narrow corridor which HS2 will serve.
OK, now, I know that you don't actually live on the proposed route or anything like that. You're against it for the reasons you've just said, but a lot of people we hear from who are against it do live on the line, don't they? Do have businesses on the line, do have homes on the line. There is a bit of NIMBYism going on here, isn't there?
Well, it's not NIMBYism. What you find is that people have read the documents because they've seen it's going nearby. And what you find with any project like this is you see opposition to it locally. But the reason the opposition to this is so strong is because the case for HS2 is so rubbish.
Why do you think the government wants it then? Are all these business leaders absolutely wrong?
Well, basically what's happened is HS2 has been touted as a solution looking for a problem. HS2 is a solution, now what's the problem? And it came about because Lord Adonis simply said to the Department for Transport, design me the fastest, most expensive railway line in the world and justify it. And there are a lot of people who stand to gain from it, you know, their own specific businesses, but what you've got to do as a government is look at what is best for the economy as a whole and the environment as well.
And of course,
this doesn't neither.
They would say they are. But just one more thing. I mean, obviously, we think there might be a decision on Tuesday next week anyway.
That's what
if it goes against you, what can you do then?
Well, there's lots of avenues open. Obviously, there's a chance of judicial review. The environmental impact analysis still has to happen, and besides finding out what the true damage will be, that will significantly jack up the cost. And of course, we'll be asking people to buy our protest single, The Oak Tree Lament, from this Sunday.
Oh, really? So
yes.
Are you singing on that in the campaign?
No. I helped record the video.
Okay.
It was #1 in the HMV chart at Christmas.
Okay.
And we'll be re-releasing it on Sunday.
OK, interesting stuff. Thanks very much indeed for talking to us, Mr. Rukin. Thank you.